Okay, we're back. It's Wednesday. It's early. No one's gonna be here for another hour and a half, but that's all right.
Well, that's fine.
We're gonna get this going. Why do I have 1,000 baby hats next to my? Hold on a second.
That's a good question.
Okay. Everything got moved. I actually don't know how. This might be we just draw black today.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and there's like, my usual thing is not gonna work here, so I guess I'm gonna go back to. I had a really scratchy style when I in high school for planning sculptures, and I think I'm gonna just kind of go back to that and see what's up. Take it as an opportunity to practice like basics of building structure and proportion.
Dear person. Words. I really want to grab. Yeah, that's the high school paper notebook. Just Jordan, welcome in. I want to grab this blue. This is blue. It's like right on the page.
Yeah.
But,
it's like.
I put a new YouTube short out this morning. People should go watch that a couple times and give it a like and a thumbs up and a comment. Tell me about your D&D one-shot ideas. Actually, I'm going to change that. Let's do that. YouTube. Sorry about the sniffles today. I'm full of grass pollen. Douglas, welcome in.
Plant jizz strikes again.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. Close all that. Draw more rugbies. Here we go. Is it impossible to mind flayers to be good? No.
It's just very difficult.
Yeah, I mean,
because,
Baldur's Gate 3 did a good job of that, of them being kind of altruistic. We can say altruistic, I think.
They are, yeah, just like, remember, they are inherently parasitic as a species, so they are always going to be more kind of morally ambiguous about things like other species' right to free will.
Yeah. I think like the Goa'uld from Stargate had kind of an interesting situation with it, because they're also a parasite.
Yeah.
And so you have the evil ones that just like enslave people and take them over. And then you have the good ones, which will find people, ask them to be their symbiotes, and then basically let them be in control most of the time. And they share the body. Like, that's the thing. They get a whole bunch of cool superpowers, but they have to share the space. So the problem with the good mind flayer is that, like you're saying, the only way to make a mind flayer is to use somebody's body as mulch, essentially.
Yeah,
and very rarely do they retain their presence of mind.
Yeah. Mind flayers are not built to be able to allow their hosts to retain that control.
Honestly, in my opinion, it depends on the mind flayer's definition of good. I mean, that's if you just want to get into the semantics of like what is good, what is evil, then anybody can be anything because it doesn't matter. It's perspective based. But when you're talking about like a generalized definition of good being like I don't want to say morally correct, but collectively correct. Like, playing from the perspective of the human condition from the way the books are projected, because that's what we have, right? You to make a mind flayer, you have to murder somebody. So you could have a mind flayer that has somehow broken free of the elder brains, because elder brains are technically evil in the same purpose. And then from there, they could do good things, but the process of surviving as a mind flayer is not inherently a good thing. So, because like I would argue that the Gith, while they are morally and ethically opposed to the mind flayers, they're just as evil. Like, they're all lawful paladins, but they're just like, they're militaristic and genocidal. They're just on a different spectrum of morality for the mind flayers. So could you have a mind flayer be good? Yeah, but mind flayers in general are not coherent with the concept of goodness in the universe. I hope that answered your question. That was long-winded. Sorry about that.
It is both a blessing and a curse that we basically have to have these kind of conversations when we're talking about D&D.
Mm-hmm. I think the other part of it though is that, like, do you need a good mind flayer? Like,
yeah,
like if that's your story, that's your story. Like, that's what you want, and that's great. Like, tell a story where a mind flayer can be good, right? That's a good goal.
Yeah.
But when it comes to playing a mind flayer, play an evil character. Who cares? Everything that's not mind flayer is lame, and you don't care about. Only the collective. I do think there's a. Go ahead. I can maintain my thought.
Even within the collective, the individual does not matter much.
Right. And to add to that, my thought really goes a little bit further into, like, what's your intent of trying to play a good mind flayer? Because what I see a lot is people like, I want to be a vampire, but I want to use all this good holy magic and stuff. And it's like, you could write a character that would do that, but a lot of the time I see people, what they're trying to do is like, I want all of the benefits of being evil, but I still want to have all the benefits of being good too. And it's just like, it's I don't want to say it's lazy, but it's uninteresting.
It's greedy.
Greedy,
for sure.
Yeah. Greedy is a better way to look at it.
And I agree with uninteresting as well.
Yeah. So it's fine to let your character, like, pick something that they excel at, and then be okay that they have limitations. Are you talking about the Githyanki or the Githzerai, because they're different? You know what? I don't remember them well enough to be able to tell you the difference. So apparently I don't know enough about that to comment on it. I know one of them is like weird space paladins, and the other one is monks.
I think it's the Githyanki that are the paladins.
Yeah.
I could be wrong though.
Does vampire derive greater benefits from blood if it's taken intravenously instead of orally? Ooh, that's an interesting question.
I doubt it because
you gotta eat
they still got to eat it, so it's got to go through some sort of processing, right? I have to imagine if you gave a vampire blood intravenously, there would be some sort of immunosuppressant response.
The Underworld movies just injected it right into their blood, and also just dripped it on them. And also, it could be any blood, and those movies are stupid. So, I've watched all of them recently. I watched all of them. There are like 6 of them now. The first one is interesting, the second one is bad, and the rest of them are just a hot mess. Man. Never have I seen a story told so many different ways in succession. So, I think you could. I think it'd be fine if your vampire took it intravenously. But at the same time, that doesn't seem feasible. Like, to what end? Like, maybe fast transfusion, like they're dying or they're passed out? Sure, yeah, go for it. Elvin Hair, hello, hello. I'm doing well. Druid, how are you doing? Elvin Hair asks.
I'm pretty good.
That's good.
Good to see you. Sorry I wasn't around last week.
It's all right. I guess the question was, would they gain more benefit? I don't think so. Maybe just... Yeah. I think you're right. Like, there's a one side of it of like, oh no, you don't want your blood in their blood, but like they're dead, so I don't know if it would matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Are they drinking blood to replenish their own blood, or are they consuming it? That's the other part you have to define. The first two Unreal movies are good, in my opinion. Like Anthropomorphic Vamps, like Marcus. Yeah, like I like the first one was really interesting because it was very much like, what if Matrix but vampires? And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do that. And then the second one, I always get this conflated because at one point they just get rid of one of the characters, and it's really weird. I can't remember if it's the second or third movie. I think the second one is also good because it's got the... Where's the second one? The one that they go back in time. So there's the first one where main character become werewolf, right? Slash,
Yep.
Spoilers, also vampire.
Yeah.
Then there's the one where brother wake up is also vampire, but werewolf, giant vampire, Batwings man. Then there is the one where they go back in time, and it's just sexy. What's his name? Just running around being awesome the whole time. And then there's the one where they go into the future, and it's just batshit bananas. That's the one with little girl. I think that's it. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's like an anime in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. I've only seen 1 and 2.
These two are good. Like,
Yeah, 2 is the one where brother, like original vampire brother wakes up.
wakes up, kills his dad for no reason.
Yep.
Yeah. Like the continuity makes no sense in that
No.
series. And they just, this blood only works with this blood and not this, but also this, and sometimes yes, this too. And it's like, none of what? like those aren't coherent thoughts. So that was like, that's a great example of like a really cool concept, and then a group of writers writing something separately from each other.
Yeah.
Like, the third movie is the prequel. Okay, so I did have that right. So, yeah. So then in the fourth movie, they basically just remove Michael from the equation, and they're like, just kidding, vampire daughter. So, it's super weird. A Varkolok? Like the boyfriend from Underdark? Gotcha. Yeah, it just seems weird to me. Not necessarily like, once again, it's the aspect of I want both things. I want the benefits of the vampire, but I want to be immune to sunlight. I want to be a super cool werewolf, but I want to be immune to silver. And it's like, that's too many things. Or it's just too many things. Werewolf vampire, though, cool idea. Like, I like the idea of maybe you transform into the vampire-esque thing like you do Under the Moon. That'd be really cool. Or vice versa. But yeah.
That feels like Vampire the Masquerade Nosferatu. But
Exactly, yeah. I mean, essentially that's what it is. All right, well, we're doing the viewer suggestion today. I'm going to get started because we don't have a lot of time. I have to leave early. We actually don't have that many suggestions today, so we're just going to bang on and go. 2. Independently, each of those movies are interesting. I'll put it that way. But collectively, they don't make any sense. That's my biggest complaint about them. Otherwise, they're just early 2000s action flicks, which is great.
Yeah. They're great as that.
Damnfear Beast Barbarian is basically a vampire werewolf. Yeah, that's one way to do it. I rolled a 2. A handsome goblin swashbuckler with red eyes and a pistol. All right. David Bowie got it. How do I make a dashing vampire? I said vampire. Goblin.
I don't know. I tried to do a goblin with a kind face that one day, and all I got was green halfling.
Rugby, but suave. I did not get a lot of sleep last night. I do also think there is, Douglas, I think, has it right on the nose. Like, the best way to do that kind of stuff is to separate it into, like, werewolf as a race and then vampire as a class, or vice versa. Yeah. I think that's a better way to build the characters out. Ziggy Stardust the pirate, yeah. Because, I mean, like, that allows for those kind of, like, dualities, but still paced properly, I feel like. Because if you just try to take all the tags that make a werewolf and a vampire, you're going to be like, oh, cool, I'm undead and can't be hurt and I'm immune to all damage types. And it's just like, just stop. Stop what you're doing. But yeah, if you take the vampire stuff and then start taking barbarian skills, like, that's fine. Because you're not gonna start overstacking those things.
If we were talking about it, like, I agree in terms of D&D game perspective. If we're talking about it from writing perspective, going back to, like, movies and stuff, like, if you really want, like, a super terrifying overpowered either werewolf or vampire, all you need to do is quit nerfing your vampires and werewolves.
That's true. Yeah.
Like we just need to go back to good old monster movie rules where nobody knows what the rules are, and or the rules are all like folklore, but this monster turns out to be real after all, and nobody knows how to deal with it.
Yeah. American Werewolf in London was
exceptional.
This is a good movie, except that, like, it doesn't explain anything.
Yeah.
They set up a premise of, okay, I think the only thing that can kill me is someone that loves me, and then he just gets shot to death, and that's how the movie ends. Like, it just stops. So so it had those two weird issues with it. But yeah, like, that was a classic horror movie, and I think they did a really good job with it. Mm-hmm. And I think the, like, trying to over narrate, that's not right. Creating a story around something that is essentially a horror film is difficult, and that's why like with Underworld, every person in that is like, this guy is the villain, but also he's kind of a good guy, and it's like, just like, it's okay to just be villains. Like,
they were unashamedly trying to reinvent kind of a vampire story, which, coming off of Twilight as it was, I do not begrudge them that at all, right? Like, and I think that they got closer to the mark in a way that was interesting and satisfying than Twilight ever could have. I don't know. I don't begrudge them the creative license that they took. But
I think if they had taken the first movie and, like, really stuck hard to their canon of just vampires versus werewolves, you got silver bullets, you got I'll even give them the like UV bullets, right? It's like,
Yeah.
vampires can be shot now. That's dope, right? Like that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then in like the second and third movie, like that kind of shit, like all of a sudden people are just getting shot with the silver bullets all the time, and the UV bullets are going everywhere. It's just like, I thought these were dangerous because now like none of the guns matter, none of the rules matter. Like that one werewolf just bit that vampire's face and that killed him. It's like, why did that kill him? Like, I thought you had to use the UV stuff. And so like, there's a whole bunch of weird inconsistencies there. And like one guy gets completely riddled with holes and like, oh, just give him some blood, he'll be fine. It's like, so vampires are immortal? It's that was really the failing of that. Like, I think the first movie was so strong with the idea of like, okay, it's this virus thing that like has been around forever, and I kind of liked the idea of it just being these two brothers that had this weird mutation.
Yeah.
So like the concept is so good, and they just kind of like lost it with, I feel like, Hollywood writing is what really ruined that. So
Yeah, I agree.
The traditional definition of a Varkalak is a vampire that can turn itself into a wolf. Okay. I mean, yeah, originally the Dracula stuff was like Dracula had control over bats, wolves, and like all night creatures and could turn into them, which is, I think, really cool.
Yeah. And the only bit of that lore that ever really kind of sticks around is kind of that thing that Underworld adapted, which was that the lycanthropic werewolves basically are enslaved to the vampires.
At what point does it become an anime protagonist levels of power? You need weakness and flaws to write them out of the mismanaged mixing in which they're trying to power game the lore. Yes. Like the anime levels of power is essentially just plot armor, right? Like the protagonists of anime always have just enough power when they need it, because otherwise it's an uninteresting story. And I think that's why One Punch Man is as interesting as it is, because it directly talks to that, like the oversaturation of the power fantasy. Of just
and like but like, to be very clear, One Punch Man doesn't ever actually get rid of that feeling of, oh no, the enemy is too powerful. It's just like, that is a thing that only the people around Saitama experience.
Yeah.
And he is too clueless to be in the loop enough to prevent the tragedies that happen.
And it is very satirical, which is great. Like that's the point. So we talked a little bit a while back about like high level characters, and like something around like level 5, your characters should be like more powerful than pretty much anything on the planet.
Yeah.
And then at 10 to 12, like you have the ability to like take down kingdoms just with your power levels. And then at 20, you're essentially a demigod, if not a full-blown deity. But the idea behind that is like, because you have to have people in the world that are matched to you, right? So there are other people that are that powerful.
Yeah.
But I also like the idea that like you could have a court wizard, right, who's level 15, who is still just completely terrified of a party of level 10 people, because it's just like, there's too much power in this tiny group. This is terrifying. Like, I have some demon pact, but you guys scare me. So I think that's part of it. And when you start looking at building a character and you look at stuff like, I want to be a vampire construct, it's like that you're setting that bar too you're kicking the bar down so fast, because now you're going to be like hyper powerful at level 3, and it's just like nothing will stand against you. And you know what? People like cheat codes, so maybe that's okay sometimes. And you can play those like super high fantasy games.
You really do just gotta be like setting appropriate, right?
Yeah.
You got to communicate that to your GM. I started watching Rot Grind again, which for anybody who's interested, that's it's on a YouTube channel called Narrative Declaration. It is a 2nd edition Pathfinder game in a homebrew Elden Ring like setting.
Funny.
And one of the characters was like episode 2 pulled out of his ass, and the GM didn't know this yet. Yeah, I'm looking for my friend. I grew up with a white dragon and he's my friend, and the bad guys have him, and I'm looking for him. And they just got to the fight where the dragon is, and then like it was very tear jerking, and the like anyway, it was very funny because it devolved into, look, if you're going to pull out I have a dragon friend in a Souls-like setting, you get to deal with all of the consequences that in terms of a super overly clocked boss fight, and all of the body horror that comes with it. So yeah, it's like
Consume my heart.
so like, I mean, not far off. Anyway, so just like the point is just like, if you're going to do stuff as a player, like it's totally fine to play with that sort of thing. You just have to communicate it to your GM, and you have to be prepared for all of the implications that the thing that you have brought into existence contribute to the setting.
I do think there's a limit too with the, like, yes, it is a group, like, collective storytelling device.
Yeah.
But there's a reason that there's a GM. Like, because
the GM is part of the group.
Yeah.
Don't
you have
discount their input.
You have to give up some of the control there. Otherwise, it's just like, let me tell you a story about how awesome I am. And it's like, this is a lame story.
Yeah. Nobody else wants to be an NPC in your power fantasy.
Yeah.
That's not what communal storytelling games are good for. Anyway, I have to assume that most of the people in our chat your chat are aware of that sort of thing, though.
Kids in Sandbox playing,
Yeah, basically. But I mean, like, that is what D&D is kids playing house in the sandbox. The only difference is we've got a set of rules and dice to prevent the, no, I'm stronger, no, I'm stronger, nuh-uh, yeah, nuh-uh, yeah.
roll the dice.
Which, you know, that's the playground argument. That's what it always devolves into, right?
My idea of a realistic dragon is a flying feathered dinosaur that can spit jets of venom. Those three things don't, like... you're damn it, Jordan.
I mean,
I don't want to poo-poo on your idea. You do what you're gonna do. That's a fine dragon that you've just designed. But I don't know. Realistic sci-fi is still sci-fi. That's all I'm gonna say. Like,
Yep.
What's the Heisenberg compensator? We talked about this.
It's been a while, but yes.
So there's in Star Trek, Utopia on Earth works because they have matter transformers. You can basically turn energy into matter, right? You can turn whatever into food. You can turn it into fuel. Like, that's the replicators and the teletransporters are what make humanity whatever. We don't know how that works. Like, this is complete bullshit, right? Like, nothing about that exists, but we've kind of like, oh yeah, like in the future with space travel, transporters, great. And so what they do is whenever they talk about how those work or they have to explain something, the writers put in, so you have the Heisenberg compensator that makes that possible. And then everything else can be realistic. Everything around it, like you have diodes, you have like energy transference, you have whatever you're doing. Like, you can use real technical jargon, and then just all of that goes through the Heisenberg compensator.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is the thing that allows us to bullshit sci-fi. So if you have a realistic dragon, feathers on a dragon, on a dinosaur, that's a real thing, right? Like, dinosaurs that could fly, that's a real thing. There were a few, but I don't know if they were actually dinosaurs. That's semantics. Jets of venom, there's one or two creatures that can do that. All those three things separately are realistic. When you cram them together, you've Heisenberged these things into a food replicator. So I'm totally fine with that, but like realistic is subjective in fantasy. So Jordan Floyserberg, yeah. It's the same thing when people. I don't want to like I said, I don't want to poo-poo on your idea. It's a good idea, but it's the same thing when people are like, I'm using physics to make the magic more powerful, and it's like, you don't need to do that. Like either let it be magic or use physics, but like you don't have to rationalize it. You can let there be some shenanigans.
I do love the idea that magic gets to play a little bit more with physics, and since generally because of the state of education in first world countries, generally we do the population understands physics slightly better than it used to. So I don't mind spells that play a little bit more with, say, gravitational fields,
sure,
acceleration.
I really like physics-based magic.
Yeah.
But once again, you have to forego some of the limitations, because so the Dresden books are physics-based magic.
Yes.
Like everything has an equal and opposite reaction, and then the wizard has the energy capability of transferring, right? So it's like you want to cast a fire spell, that heat has to come from somewhere, so you like pull it out of the air. Everything around you gets cold, and you shoot fire, right? Like cool. Yeah. Like that's a cool explanation. But there still is that Heisenberg compensator of the wizard being like, I can do this for reasons that just we aren't going to explain. Like it works. So that's fine. So like the thing I'm thinking about like right now is the railgun, not the peasant railgun. There's I'll draw a picture of this. So this is an old school physics problem that D&D breaks. So you get a ring of dispel magic. You have something create a small field of dispel magic, right? Then you take a cannonball and you cast shrink on it. So now it's the size of a BB. And you shoot it out of a slingshot. And as soon as it hits here, it turns back into a cannonball. And the physics behind it is this is now moving at X amount of speed because it's so small, but now it's all of a sudden big. Does it retain its speed based on its everything, right? So there are Reddit pages about this. You can go look it up. I'm not going to get into it. But
be prepared to read a lot of angry arguments about people who don't know enough about physics. Because
and the base concept here is if you get a cannonball projecting at X amount of speed, it does lots of damage, right? You would think, oh, this is smaller, so I can get this moving way faster than I could get this moving. You're right. At this point, does it gain mass? And if so, it would lose velocity. Does it retain its velocity regardless of its mass? Or, because in my mind, it would do this. It would go, beep, beep. But a lot of people argue, no. It would retain that velocity and gain the mass because the spell is being removed. And it's like, cool. It's still only going the speed of a slingshot bullet, not a cannon, which is very different. So so there's, it's a cool idea and it's fun that someone does, and it's a cool thought experiment. But at the end of the day, it's just like way overcomplicating something. And you can either just say rule of cool it, sure, you can shoot cannonballs because you've expended a spell slot to do so. I think it's an interesting use of shrink. But at the same time, if you're just trying to like, I'm going to shoot cannons with my slingshot because I'm awesome. It's like, I'm going to give you a D8 instead of a D4. Like that's what I'm going to give you. So it's a little bit of just people, trying to break the system, which is fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that people get so worked up and mad about it on the internet is always funny to me.
Must protect orb of light.
I should have told you. There's one of the suggestions is a moth mama.
Ah.
I should have just let you draw that.
Well.
I've been playing the new Final Fantasy expansion, and I just got like an Old West town. And one of the classes in Final Fantasy 14 is a machinist, which is basically like a gunslinger. And the only problem I'm having with it is that this is their pistols. Like, everybody's got these huge rifle pistol things that they wield one-handed, and they strap them to their backs. And it's just like, I just want a regular sized pistol. Like, what's going on here? Like, I want a shotgun or I want a pistol. I don't know what this is.
Alright, what dice am I rolling?
D12.
D12, okay.
My realistic dragons are also smart enough to use fire as a weapon tool. They themselves can't start fires, but they're able to steal torches from humans to cook their own food. Why do they need to cook their own food? How much does magic allow or influence physics as part of the argument? It's an interesting thing to debate, but it would probably be stream all itself with TTRG hot takes. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, yeah. Basically the mare's leg pistol. Yeah, the mare's leg is really fun. I like a mare's leg. It's essentially a sawed-off, cut, like long rifle. Yeah. So normally you would have like a lever action rifle like this, right? And then you cut off the stock, you cut off the barrel, and then you have a mare's leg because it looks like a horse's leg. Arnold Schwarzenegger uses one. Oh, he uses a shotgun version of it, I think. It's a lever action shotgun, which is really weird. There's only a handful of those that exist, but is a 410 shotgun. You can get them in different different calibers.
And I think part of the functionality of sawing off, air quotes, any gun is that basically it shoots anything you'll put in it. Not as well as anything, but like...
that's not true. It's not true.
Is it not true?
No. Sawing off a shotgun was essentially just to make them more concealable. That's really the only purpose of it. The other part of it, like, there are shorter barreled shotguns in military application where you can have like a breaching shotgun, which is literally only designed to blow the door off of a handle, so you don't need the barrel. Blow the door off a handle. Blow the handle off of the door. You don't need a barrel. And then in close quarters, like if you're doing like police work, they usually have shorter barrels because they might go in buildings, right? Like you don't want a long barrel if you're in a hallway. One second, just gotta someone at the door. Give me a minute.
I guess I'm gonna have to look up my roll myself. I rolled a 6.
This is the first. I got the stickers for the next Why You Should Play video, but I haven't released the video yet. So that's a thing.
So I rolled a 6 on Acanthus Path of the Silver Ladder Order, who looks like a stereotypical Acanthus, while dressed like the typical Silver Ladder Order, late 2000s, inspired from Mage the Awakening.
Didn't we draw this last week or the week before?
I don't know. I wasn't around last.
The Silver Ladder, not Silver Ladder thing. I'm pretty sure I already drew. But also, I think when I drew it, I didn't say that part because that feels like is a thing but is not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, which one is it? Because essentially what that is a Acanthus Path mage with typical Silver Ladder orders. from the late 2000s, right? So it's just
Right.
it's a wizard that looks like Britney Spears.
Oh.
That's it. That's all it is. It's a wizard that looks like a normal person, which is just a normal person. Very confusing. I'm done as well. I'm going to roll anyway. If things are a thing but they look like another thing, then just tell us what it looks like. That would be my ask for viewer suggestions.
What is an acanthus? Because I'm only getting a plant.
It's one of the 5 paths for mages, so it's a plant wizard. Nature. Yeah, it's a nature wizard.
Okay. So is acanthus a species?
No,
or-
it's a human. They're just, like I said, they're just humans. Mage of
Okay.
the Awakening is basically like, what if magic, but in current era. So,
Okay.
let me see if I can find you a good. Think Dresden Druid.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best way I can think to put it. And then I'm not sure what the Silver Order was. I looked it up last time, but since they're not supposed to look like that, it's like I don't know how to take that. I think not Oliver. Elliot knew what it was and explained it to me last time.
Okay.
It's quite a run-on sentence, yeah. As such, my dragons are slowly becoming herbivores. They also eat plants, like some birds. I mean, there's a lot of birds that eat meat.
Most plants are omnivorous. Or I mean, most birds are
Most
omnivorous.
plants. That would be terrifying. Hiruk, what is your opinion on sorcerers having an expanded spell list? In my opinion, it's making the sorcerers too much like a wizard. Maybe just letting the message of wizards cloud me. Yeah, no, I think the cool thing about wizards is that they can learn spells. I think sorcerers very much should be based on their bloodline because it's not the same kind of magic. Because if it is the same kind of magic, then you're a sorcerer who's becoming a wizard. Like that's very two different things. So we've talked about this in the past. I really feel like sorcerers should be an archetype feat, not an archetype feat, like a heritage feat. Like it's you take magic on that levels, and they would have to level separately. Though is the problem. So making it a class makes sense, but I think sorcerer and warlock are things that should be separate from class systems. It's not really something you train and learn with. It's just charisma based. I guess sorcerers could be kind of more like monks because they're just training their body. They're not actually training their wizard spells. They're just flexing their magical muscles. Silver ladder. Yeah, I can't figure out what this is supposed to mean. Apparently they're highborn, I would call it. Silver ladder mages were the priest judges of Atlantis. There you go.
I've watched too much Mini Minute Man lately. Atlantis has become a trigger word for me.
They're the type of mages that hate muggles. Let me put it that way. How's that?
Okay. Lord Voldemort, here we go.
I forgot to... Did I roll? I rolled a 10. Or did I roll a 10 last time? I think I just rolled a 10. Friendly vampire wearing a sun hat, tank tops, jeans, shorts, getting on her shoulder. Marceline the Vampire Queen. Here we go. Actually, maybe, yeah. Maybe I'll just draw that. Da-do-da-do-da-do-do. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Yeah, so the things with sorcerers for me is because it is bloodline. One, I think they should be Constitution casters, which fundamentally breaks the game. But there are ways around that, and I've talked a little bit about that. I don't know if I talked about it in the shorts or not. I think I did. Basically, I think the Constitution-based casters, because hit points are not technically physical blood, like if you have 1 hit point, you're still completely functional, right? Like you're not about to pass out, you're not bleeding to death, because those are different status effects. So, if you look at hit points more as stamina, I think it makes a lot of sense to a sorcerer to use their Constitution as their casting stat, but instead of having spell points, they just have to use hit points. Spells cost different amounts of hit points. Chickens are omnivores. Yeah, there's a lot of birds that will eat anything. Like crows will eat fruits and meat. Owls, I think, are carnivores only. They can only eat meat.
Yeah, most raptors are.
Most raptors, yeah.
But even the vampire blood finches of the Galapagos Islands will eat things besides just blood.
Seagulls will eat anything. Pigeons will eat anything. Like, yeah.
Penguins are fish only, pescatarian.
I don't know why I like to make vampires have pointy ears. They're not elves. They're just vampires. Sun hat. But yeah, I really very much like the idea that sorcerers don't really learn magic. They're just born with it, and then they can kind of learn to augment it as they grow. And like, so you start with fire, and you always have fire. Maybe I would say maybe you could get into some ice magic because of, once again, like, oh, I can control the heat around me to just suck all the heat out of the area. It's like, that's cool. But they can learn spells that are like maybe adjacent. But we don't really have a thing for that. I feel like that's kind of how it was in first edition Pathfinder.
Yeah. The bloodline abilities really gave a lot of that flavor, and then the spell list was kind of restricted, and the thing that was cool about it is that you got spells a level earlier than wizards, right?
I don't remember.
Anyway, the only sorcerer I ever built in first edition Pathfinder was a Phoenix Blood sorcerer, and that came with some really, really cool like innate magical powers.
I built a what was it? I tried to build an illusion sorcerer once, and it did not work. I remember struggling with it. Would a vampire have curly hair? I don't think I've ever seen a vampire with curly hair.
Nah, screw it. I don't know what to draw, so I'm just gonna draw a girl who would fit in the movie The Craft. That's the right time period, right?
Yep, that's it. Actually, I think The Craft was based off of Magic the Awakening, wasn't it? Mage the Awakening.
Oh, seriously?
I think so, yeah. Crows
Perfect.
prefer Burger King over McDonald's. Good to know. Thanks for drawing the vampire one. Yeah, no problem. I'll figure this out. Last few messages are in response to the con casting sorcerer thing. If you give some kind of drawback, then it should be okay. Like we're having to reach half your total spell slots, make a con save, and gain a level of exhaustion. You could do that, but once again, like so, the spell slot system is.
I hate it.
Yeah, that's what
done.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to like I. It's very very simple, which is great.
Yeah, yeah.
But it functions, and regardless of what you do, everything is spell slots. So like, there's a lot of people that like hate it, like Druid, want to change it, want to do different things to it, and most times it's just it comes back around. From a gameplay standpoint, giving something limitations is the same as having like a clip in a magazine on a gun or X uses per day. It's just they called it spell slots so they could do different things for different classes. So as soon as you start looking into it more, like I wish it was more fine-tuned, like I want spell points, and it's like this the same thing. You're just adding complexity to a system. So
It's, having tried to design my way out of a Vancian magic system, honestly, as soon as you do anything else, it immediately slows down combat in game. So in terms of TTRPGs, I don't think we will ever actually really like functionally move away from a Vancian magic system, at least in a game where magic is like defined by hard rules. Obviously we don't use Vancian magic in like a Fate system or Powered by the Apocalypse, but like that has no rules for magic, right? So it really is just like do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, like for D&D, you need the confinement, and you need it to be able to move fast.
And if you want to look at something like Elden Ring, let's look at Elden Ring, right? The base character, when you make a character, can cast every spell X amount of times, and then that is augmented by your intelligence. So what you're saying is, instead of it being a spell slot based system where you get X amount of dots, you have X amount of points, which still put you in those buckets. And for every like 5 points an inch you get one more circle. Because if you're doing in point, like say something costs 5 mana, 5 MP, you could say every time you put a point in int, you get 1 more MP. Then putting 4 points, going from being able to cast 4 times to 5 times, all of a sudden you still have to put 5 points here. And Pathfinder does this by saying you get 1/4 of an X whatever every level. It's the exact same thing. The only difference is you're seeing the progression of it, because getting 1 more point of MP doesn't allow you to cast another use of that spell. So it's whether or not you want to be able to limit the types of spells that are being cast, or you want to limit the power of spells being cast, right? When do 2 level 1 spells equal a level 2 spell? Because you can cast 2 of these, but you can't cast half of one of these. And that's why the balancing thing comes into play. So if you really, really want to play with something like magic points, you can. Just remember, the math is the same. And I really loved that aspect of like Diablo, the old Diablo games. Because they would talk about things of like, oh, you can kill this character in so many hits. And that's how you have to look at like Call of Duty as well. Guns are rated in hits to kill. Like how many times do you have to shoot somebody with a pistol before they die? And they're like, oh, you have the 9mm, which takes 4 shots to the body. Or the Magnum only takes 2 shots to the body. And they're like, cool, we're buffing the 9mm so that now it only takes 3 shots. But the Magnum still takes 2 shots because they only removed like 1/5 of the damage that this was already going past. And so that's why balancing gets so complicated when you look at things like that. And when you get things too fine-tuned, right? Like they make spells, which is why some cantrips feel really, really powerful and other spells feel really stupid. Because they don't match up. It's like white sauce in your pasta. I prefer red sauce. There's a lot of different kinds of pasta that have a lot of different kinds of sauces.
And there's a lot of different white sauces.
Yeah. I'm gonna be rocking an aberrant mind sorcerer soon. The expanded spell list I can cast from and customize is a great feature for me. The pseudo psychic magic makes more sense than others, and that can be fun. I think that kind of stuff is fine. When you're building, when you say expanded spell list, if you're building a specific wizard that has access to certain spells, I think that's great. When you just say all sorcerers can get all of these magics, then you lose that kind of like, you don't have to be an aberrant mind because you get that spell list anyways. I'm not okay with that stuff. So expanding spell lists like druids that can use divine spells, that can be really fun, or clerics that have like, you know, nature magic. That kind of stuff is fun when you pick those things. So those kind of expanded spell lists I'm totally fine with. But it's because you're still limiting it. You're just like, this character gets this, not just like, let's give everybody all the magics.
I prefer if I'm building a sorcerer that I want a spell on their spell list and I think that it fits thematically. Like that is a really important caveat. If I think that it fits thematically, then I will ask my GM if I can add this to my possible spell list. And I have done that before with I built a storm sorcerer in 5e, and control weather was not on the spell list, and I was like, look, GM, like I realize this, like it's not going to do much in combat, but like we're doing a bunch of overworld stuff, so this could be powerful, but I realize this is a druid only spell. It makes sense to me thematically that I should have access to this. And my GM agreed. I made a good enough argument that the GM said, okay, that's fine. I'll allow it.
Yep,
And I think that's great. That's how you should handle it.
That makes total sense to me. And that's really, because what you're doing when you say you want an expanded spell list is you're really saying, like, I want to homebrew a class or a race for this.
Yeah.
Versus people that just like, why can't I have all the divine magic I want? It's like, because then you're playing a freaking cleric. Like, just
yeah. You want the divine magic, play a cleric. Oh, but I want all of this other stuff too. You have to pick. You cannot have everything. It's not fair.
Echolocation. Yeah. My favorite pasta sauce, while I do love a good bolognese sauce, basic ass like spicy marinara is really good. Like a good marinara with green peppers and balsamic vinegar in it. Oh, I love it. But aside from that, like a chicken piccata is really, really good. Which is just butter and lemon juice.
Yeah.
Butter, lemon juice. You put some capers in there. Sun-dried tomatoes. Maybe some Parmesan.
Yeah. Maybe like my favorite spaghetti is just spaghetti prepared pasta aglio olio, which is it's literally just salt, pepper, lemon juice, a lot of olive oil, and like a shit ton of super finely chopped herbs.
The trick to making this really good is you make a tiny roux and then you add lemon to it. It's really great. Aberrant Mind Sorcerer is an expanded spell list built in, by the way. It isn't home. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, so when people are asking me how do you feel about expanded spell lists, the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer works. That's fine. I have no problem with that. My problem is when people want more expanded spell lists. So that's when I usually draw a line, because it's just like Lars wanted to play a Pathfinder 1 witch in Pathfinder 2nd edition. And I was looking at it and I'm like, ooh, this is kind of super overpowered with the 3-point system. And then after a little while we were playing, they updated the witch and they added it back in. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, this is how they dealt with it. It's like, yeah, that's elegant and I like it. And I'm glad, like, do that. Switch it to this. Like, so there is 100% a viable way to do all those things. It's just a matter of making sure it makes sense and is balanced. I'm gonna give her gloves too. I feel like even with the sun hat, you gotta have the umbrella.
Oh yeah, for a vampire, absolutely. Take no chances. Even with a crazy healing factor.
What was it?
Third degree burns suck.
Yeah. Renfield, I think. Nicolas Cage vampire movie. Pretty silly.
Oh yeah.
Pretty silly. Once again, doesn't really follow its own rules, but just kind of a weird comedy romp and stomp.
Yeah, that one is not supposed to be taken seriously, right?
No.
So it does not matter so much.
Oh man, what was it? Last sale of the Demeter, something like that.
Last Voyage of the Demeter.
The Voyage, yeah. That was a really good movie. I like that.
Was it?
That was
Didn't watch it.
That was a good vampire movie.
I've seen there are some more, or there's some. There is a previews for Nosferatu movie coming out, and it looks interesting to me. It looks like they're really playing into the. It feels like a community horror movie to me because
Nice.
The previews look like they're doing a lot with the village in which Nosferatu shows up.
Nice.
So it could be really good. I don't know. I will not watch it because horror is not my thing, but
I watched Cocaine Bear the other day. My parents were in town and we watched Cocaine Bear, and I was like, that was a movie. It was ridiculous and silly. I hope this didn't say white tank top. It might have said white tank top.
I wasn't paying attention to your thing, but I don't remember it having that much specific detail.
Yep. What time is it? 11:11. We're doing good. We got another hour.
Let's see.
Gotta get the knee-high socks. Otherwise you burn.
Should be. I don't know. I feel like I should be giving the Switch. There's a girl in one of my art classes in high school named Zandria, and she had the most badass goth undercut and like bright purple dye job I've ever seen on anybody. That was super awesome, and I kind of feel like I should be giving this person that, but also maybe the girl I'm drawing's got maybe a little bit different vibe. I'm not sure. This, I'll be honest, this prompt got a little bit away from me. I think writing it got a little bit away from the author.
Any plans for tomorrow? I'm heading out of town today, so I won't be back Friday. So this is the only stream we got this week. I have a YouTube short up today. Please go watch that and comment on it. And then I'll have another one up tomorrow, per the normal shenaniganry.
I'm playing Call of Cthulhu tomorrow.
Nice. Okay, there you go. Sexy vampire lady in a tank top. I guess it didn't say sexy, but vampire plus tank top equals sexy. So there you go. Got a cat. Got a cat back here.
Is that what that thinking is?
I mean, for me, yeah.
Yeah. I could hear cutlery, and
Oh.
Discord's usually good at cutting
No,
that
that's
sort of thing out.
jump rope being loud.
Oh, gotcha. So Discord's usually better at filtering out that sort of stuff. So I'll admit I was a little bit surprised.
Okay, I'm done with that. Moving on to the next one. F4. Small male tricrine. It says tricrine instead of thricrine, I think. I hope that's not a different thing. Alchemist. A shrimp chef whose specialty is frying rice. Okay. Is a tricrine not a... It's like a shrimp thricrine.
I'm gonna assume it. I think it's probably a proper thricrine.
Playing Call of Duty, you mean a show or game?
Game. You know, the TTRPG, Call of Cthulhu.
I miss being wild and rambunctious with fireworks.
I do not.
Mind you, I've probably like irreparably damaged my hearing, and I have scars. But at the same time, like, I don't know, blowing stuff up is fun.
I'm sure the cats would appreciate there not being tons of boomy fireworks
Yeah.
all through the night.
I honestly kind of hate it here. Like, we used to go out into the desert and just blow stuff up for fun, as you do in Idaho.
Yep.
But around here, it's just like everybody goes to town, and it's just nonstop explosions until like 4 in the morning. You know, a first-person horror game of the same name. Interesting. Tricrines are the Triceratops horns. Wait, what? Thricrine with Triceratops horns? Oh, okay. I drew a Triceratops thing last week, and I got really confused. But okay, I see what you're saying. I feel like a shrimp using a wok is dangerous.
I think that's kind of the point, right? Are they making a shrimp fried rice pun?
Maybe. Is there shrimp fried rice? I don't think I've ever had shrimp fried rice.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not a big shrimp person.
I mean, neither am I, but like, maybe it's just in the Chinese restaurants around here, but I've never been to a Chinese restaurant that didn't have it on the menu.
There's paella. If I'm gonna eat shrimp, I gotta eat shrimp. Like shrimp cocktail, or like fried shrimp. I'm not a big like shrimp and pasta thing.
was like 5 or 6 years where my mother made like this shrimp and orzo pasta salad all the time, and I absolutely hated it.
I want to give this guy like 1,000 arms. What else can I do to make this look more shrimpy? Antenna? Do shrimps have antenna? I think they do.
Oh yeah, they have huge long antennae usually.
You're right. They come out the nose though. Or is that lobsters?
Yeah. Both.
Shrimps are just tiny lobsters.
Pretty much. I believe technically they're in slightly different families, but their body plans are extremely similar.
All things become crab.
Yeah, I believe if we're speaking technically, lobsters are in the crayfish family, and shrimp are not, but like, again, they are both just basically underwater cockroaches.
I don't think the new, well, I say new, it's like freaking 10 years old now, maybe. Blade Runner was really good. I don't think it gets enough credit for being an interesting movie. But I like that one of the guys was like a cricket farmer. Like, oh yeah, the world goes to shit, what do we grow? Crickets. Crickets is what we grow now. The future. Ugh, my nose. I gotta go blow a nose. I'll be right back. Hang tight.
Okay, we're down to 10. I rolled a 7. Elder Brain, Dragon, Dragonborn, Great Old One, Warlock. That suggestion needed some commas. Elder Brain, Dragon, Dragonborn, Great Old One, Warlock. Eldritch themed Dragonborn. Hmm. Let's see. Chat, what do you guys usually think visually denotes warlock?
I'm muted. Sorry about that. Welcome back. I'm back.
You're good.
I rolled a 4.
Yeah, I rolled a 7.
Hollow 1. Oh, it's from Wildmount. Okay. Undead. Got it. Dun, dun, dun. Probably do one more here and then we'll probably call it.
And I rolled a 7, which is now the 6th. Elder Brain, Dragonborn, Great Old One, Warlock.
Gotcha. It is kind of funny thinking about my uncles used to tell me stories about what they did with like firecrackers and stuff in the 80s when they were little. And I think 2 of my uncles have like one of them deaf in one ear from them.
Oof.
The other one had to go to the hospital. And it's just like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have those anymore. America. Stay safe out
Kids
there,
these
people.
days are too soft. Almost none of them have had near-death experiences but before the age of 10.
Most of them still have their fingers. Like,
Yeah.
God, how many times did I almost die before I was 10?
I know I almost drowned 4 times. But I also never had to worry about school shooting anything, so...
Dragonborn with bulbous head, like who's from When Mars Attacks? Also, goo warlocks. They seem more disheveled. They seem more disheveled than other warlocks?
I asked, before you got back, I asked the chat for what they think a warlock looks like.
What does a blood hunter look like?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I basically just need to draw the crow. Is what I'm... Wait, you're drawing an elder dragon or an elder brain?
elder brain themed dragonborn warlock. I guess.
Gotcha.
There was not enough punctuation for me to decipher the sentence.
An elder schmain. I've been trying to get better at drawing.
Tentacles.
Oh, sorry. Say all you know is ankles?
All I know is tentacles.
Ah, yes. I'm trying to get better about drawing hair, and I have not felt confident in it yet. Bloodhunters get medium armor or light armor?
No idea. I've never played one.
Old ones, in my opinion, makes someone askew just a bit. Or disheveled, more like spastic and unreliable after all. Gotcha. Do all blood hunters derive their power from cutting themselves?
I don't actually know.
Ah. Can't breathe.
Okay, carp whiskers was a good idea for this, actually.
Looks cool so far. I like where this is headed, but I'm not actually happy with it. So let's draw it again. This time with more detail. Dang it. Hang tight. I'll be right back. I can't keep sniffling into the microphone. Give me a minute.
he says as the stream is winding down.
Okay. Nose be like, time to wrap it up. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes my body just decides, like, hey, we should just shut it down right now. Everything. Just not have fun today. How about that?
What if, and stay with me on this, you were miserable?
Yeah. They have to still sell, like, firecrackers somewhere, right? Not that I'm going to use them or buy them. I'm just curious.
Oh, for sure.
There's a place in Idaho that you could buy just, like, all kinds of everythings. Like, super illegal fireworks. And then they just made you sign a piece of paper that's like, I will not use these anywhere where it's illegally used them. It's like, yeah. Yep, I'm sure. I'm sure people are going to sign that.
Yep.
It's so stupid. It's fine.
I grew up with going to school with many people who went to Idaho to buy those fireworks.
Yeah. Actually, I think we had to drive to Oregon. But we were really close to the Oregon border, so it doesn't matter. That part of Oregon wants to become Idaho now, so yeah, full circle.
Which is wild to me. I thought that Oregon was much more left-leaning.
Well, so I think we've talked about this, right? Like, so there's
Yep.
California, Idaho, Oregon. The problem with Oregon is that 80% of the population lives right here, and that's the liberal part of it, and everyone else is like, leave my land alone. It's like, okay, got it. I don't know how they would deal with that. Look, with how much problems they had dealing with pumping their own gas. That's irresponsible and dangerous. You can't trust people to pump their own gas. What now?
Yeah, Oregon is always been a little bit of a silly place. But you can say that about any of the states, so I guess.
Sure.
I guess I shouldn't single them out. Especially since I grew up in Utah, of all places.
Yeah, it's a little.
Which is an extremely silly place. Coming to terms with the fact that I have always drawn the palms of my hands way too long.
Okay. I know that feeling. For sure.
That, oh, I've always done this thing horribly incorrect.
I feel the same way about my legs. Like, I always draw legs really long. And then I
Yeah.
started trying to correct it. I was like, I kind of like just drawing long legs.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of preference in there anyways. How am I doing on this, by the way? Wait. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay. Alrighty.
This Eldritch Blast is an octopus.
He just shoots an octopus? Just straight up one octopus. Just blah.
Pretty much. that was an accident, but I think it's funny and also thematically appropriate for a Elder Brain themed Great Old One Warlock to shoot, to have an Eldritch Blast that shoots squiddly, that has a bunch of extra squiddly bits.
Sure. I very much like the Hunger of Hadar and Black Tentacle and stuff. I just like the idea that, so how do you attack people with an Eldritch Being? Like, oh, you just put them inside of it. It's like, what? Like, yeah, I just warp space-time so that we're inside of its stomach. It's like, don't do that.
What?
This is reality-breaking bullshit, and you're just, like, nonchalantly throwing people.
This is a terrible idea. It'll be fine. Nothing terrible has happened. Nothing world-ending has happened the last 37 times I've casted. We'll be fine.
We'll summon the whole castle inside of an ancient god. I'm sure nothing will happen. High velocity octopus.
Again, it's probably a bad idea. I just thought it was funny. Excuse me.
They never really explain how a lot of attacks work.
No, and I think that they did it on purpose. One, because it would be exhausting to have to write it all out, and two, because it's better if they don't specify, because then rules lawyers don't suck the life out of the game.
Yeah. I think that's something that OKSDM is doing a really good job of with sagas, is like making something vague enough that it can fit anything. Like, that's really fun. It's like, yeah, this type of attack will do this much damage, and it can be flavored any way you want. And I think Eldritch Blast is like a prime example of that kind of thinking. It's like, you attack. It's like, what does my attack look like? It's like, it's up to you. You just do the attack. Everything will be fine. Bah. Okay. I think I'm gonna call it there. My brain is melted.
No worries. I'm pretty much done anyway.
Cool. I kind of dig this paper. This paper's fun. But yeah. Thanks for hanging out today, everybody. Thanks for the suggestions. Like I said, nothing on. Oh, that hair looks like crap. Hold on. Nothing on Friday. We'll be back next week. I would really appreciate comments being left on the YouTube Shorts, because that's how the YouTube Shorts kind of get kicked into the algorithm. Aside from that, that's all I got. Be safe tomorrow. Be safe on your travels. Don't hurt yourself. Don't burn anything down. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Keep your dice at the table. And we'll catch y'all next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.